Hi, USPCA members. It's Larry Lynch, and Rob just signaled me from behind the camera that we're good to go. So I wanted to share a few things with you. Like many people around the United States, I've been working from home here for more than a few days. So if you hear some background noise, we have our dog who's hiding by the front door and Rob's dog who's sitting over by him. So bear with the interruptions. This is going to be a learn as you go opportunity to share with you. But we just want to make sure we're keeping in contact with our members with all of the uncertainty with COVID-19. In my other life at the National Restaurant Association, I'm spending hours every day talking to media and others about what's happening with this. And I think the one thing I can say consistently is it's not what we know, it's what we don't know that is our biggest concern and our biggest dilemma at the moment. So the things that are out of our control are certainly things that we don't want to lose a lot of sleep over. As we learn more about what's happening to the virus and we can respond, then we need to respond. But I want to touch on a few things tonight. I know we'd asked for questions, and I don't think we have any yet, but if Rob gets them, I'll certainly address them. But absent questions, I just want to remind you a few things. First and foremost, take care of yourself. The mental toll and the physical toll, and the two are connected, that you have as individuals is significant in something like this. We're just hounded 24/7 all around us with news and information. It's all sounding like it's the end of the world, and I think it's important that we maintain a balance of perspective. From my own point of view, I make it a point to exercise vigorously every morning, and since I'm in one of those quote-unquote categories, I pay more attention to it than not. But the fact of the matter is the exercise really helps me build a good equilibrium in the morning before I start the day, because once my day starts, I am on the phone constantly. Literally just before I came on here, I was on the phone with National Public Radio for an hour and 15 minutes getting grilled about health and safety as it relates to COVID-19. So I can certainly sympathize with everybody's going to, but I implore all of you to take some time. Whether it's exercise, it can be cardio, it can be weights, whatever you do that's the best. It can be yoga, it can be stretching, it can be meditation. But before anything else, as we talk about what we want to do with the business, you make sure you're taking care of yourselves and making sure that you are focused on your families. A little bit about the COVID-19 as I know it at this point, and again, everything I'm picking up and I'm sharing with you is data that we're getting from the CDC. You see Rob's dog, I think he just walked by on the camera, but we're getting from CDC, and nothing really in terms of how we're responding to it has changed. The amount of time that it shows before we see symptoms hasn't changed. One of the questions I had from NPR today was they read somewhere that if you lose your sense of smell, that may be an indicator of COVID-19. So there are a lot of studies that are out there right now that are in process, but they haven't been fully vetted. So what we're sharing is anything that's coming out of the CDC, because by the time it hits CDC, FDA, EPA, and the other agencies, it's been fully enough vetted that we feel comfortable what we're sharing is accurate. So nothing really has changed in terms of the efficacy of the disease, any of the drugs that they're testing. I think the important thing to know is, as we've known all along, is distance yourself from others. Make sure that you're practicing good hand washing, and then make sure that you are not just distant, but also make sure you're sanitizing. If you think back to the training you've had as chefs in terms of health and safety and what you've done in getting your certification with the National Register or with ServSafe, it really is those things. There's an element of cooking safety, and you have to pay attention to that too, because we still don't want anybody to have foodborne illness. But it's also the personal hygiene and the safety and the cleanliness of what you do and what you need to demonstrate for your clients. So I think the core things to remember, I've said this more times than I have fingers and toes to count, but wash your hands vigorously, continuously. When I say continuously, I'm not talking about just the 20 seconds that we're recommending with hot water and soap, but you do it frequently while you're cooking, while you're talking to other people, while you're out there selling your services. Whatever it is you're doing, when you get that chance to wash your hands. And in between time, make sure you're using a hand sanitizer that has at least 60% alcohol content in it. And again, those are cases where rub your hands vigorously, but let them air dry. Don't rub them to the point where you rub the alcohol solution off your hands. And then as quickly as you can afterwards, wash your hands thoroughly. So again, it's just a double protection to make sure you're okay. One thing we have seen so far, and I've been in contact with the Food and Drug Administration about this. This is important to make sure you're sharing with your clients. Nothing is showing any transmission of the virus from food to a person. That's been clear. I know a couple of the reporters have asked me, what about if somebody sneezes on the food? And I've told them there's a bigger issue there, because a person sneezing in a restaurant or in any kind of food facility or in somebody's home shouldn't be working. So if you or one of your employees feel bad and you think you're sneezing or you're coughing, you are coughing and sneezing, you really shouldn't be anywhere near food. But by itself, again, this is a virus, not a bacteriological issue that you typically have with foodborne illness. So, we're watching that. But again, we're making sure that all the surfaces that are touched are cleaned and sanitized. Not the food, but the surfaces are cleaned and sanitized. So again, make sure, and the other piece of this too is you have an element of expertise. As I listen to these reporters when I'm talking to them, one of the things that I'm hearing more than anything else is absolute confusion, because there's so much noise coming from so many different areas. Again, since I'm at the forefront of making sure we're disseminating clean information for the restaurant world, I'm doing it also for our personal chefs. And that's, taking a look at the information we continue to send out as we get it, whether it's from CDC or any other agency. We're going to make sure that we have an opportunity to keep you at the forefront. And I say that because it's not only good for you, but you have an opportunity to communicate that with your clients. One of the unique things I've said about this entire situation, for want of a better term, is that people are staying at home, which is where our chefs work the most. It's probably a time if people haven't considered a personal chef, you can at the very least begin to build your credibility with your potential customer base in terms of what you know, what you do, the things they should be doing at home in terms of cleaning and sanitizing, because they may not always think about the frequency of washing their hands around the house, not thinking about the packages they touch as they come in, or the people they may have met. Making sure that the surfaces in their kitchens and elsewhere are clean, which is something they should do under a normal circumstance. But you can be that trusted advisor to those customers. You can be the person that they turn to for the kinds of information they need, not just to cook a great meal, which is ultimately where you want to get to with your customers, but just as importantly, how you can advise them on the latest science and the latest information that's out there about this virus, and more importantly, in the long run, about your business and what's happening in food safety and things that you can do. So, make sure you're having that communication on a regular basis, that you're teaching them those elements of proper cleaning, proper sanitation, recognize. And by the way, I was talking to someone today from Compass Group who was telling me that it seems like a lot of these sanitizers are disappearing from shelves, even from suppliers at this point. One of the CDC recommendations for your own homemade sanitizer, 4 teaspoons of bleach to 1 quart of water. So if you want to make your own, 4 teaspoons of bleach, 1 quart of water. Make sure you do that. So Rob's staring at me for a moment, so I just want to make sure he didn't have a cue for me. Do you have a question?
Oh, we do have questions coming in, but you can finish what you're talking about
now. For your business, and I think that's the scariest thing for everybody, it's that time to make sure you're paying close attention to your cash flow, what you're doing in terms of your expenses. If there are places in the time being, if you don't think you're going to get new business, make sure you're cutting back. But I will tell you, don't be embarrassed to get new business. We talked to one of our chefs on Friday, and she has managed to so far get 3 new clients in all of this. It's not, you're not exploiting a situation. You're serving people. You have to have a comfort level too with the customers. Somebody else I spoke with yesterday was concerned about going into a new customer's home. Ask the right questions. Make sure you understand. Look at the data that we're sending you. Is that person sick? Have they been around somebody that's sick? Are they in an area? Some of the reports I'm seeing tonight, and I haven't had a chance to study them yet, is the growth of the rapid growth of the disease and the virus in New York City. Now, the irony of that is I was just in New York a week ago today. I got home just about this time a week ago, and I felt perfectly fine since I've been home. That said, they kicked me out of the office the next day and told me they didn't want to go back in, and now that's a moot point because they've closed Orlando. So none of that really matters. But the fact of the matter is, ask good questions of your customers, and particularly your potential customers. If you have that comfort level, then just make sure you're going in. If you think they're sick, make sure they have a mask on when they come in. And remember, the masks are for the people, well, first of all, they're first and foremost for first responders and healthcare workers. But if there's extras around, masks are most effective for somebody who has the virus, not somebody who's trying to prevent the virus. And I say that because what the mask does, it prevents any of the droplets when someone coughs or sneezes from blowing out into a wide area. It might make it just outside the mask, but it won't go to a wide area. If you're wearing the mask and you think it's going to prevent the disease, two problems. If you look at the masks, there's open areas on the sides where it can get in. If you ever breathe the mask on, your glasses fog up. And if you don't wear glasses, there's a darn good chance that something's going to hit your eyes. So make sure your customers are adhering to good safety guidelines before you go in and cook. And if you elect to take a job and there's a good opportunity out there for you, bring the right sanitizing material in and sanitize everything around you. Wash your hands constantly. I can't emphasize that enough. If you're washing your hands, sanitizing the areas around you, and if you want to, you can even just cook it up for your clients, plate it, and leave. So you don't even have to spend a lot of time there. Make arrangements for cleaning. Discuss that with them. But be creative. This is a time now where some of the standard things that you would do as a personal chef might not so much fall by the wayside, but change how you do it. But again, I emphasize the fact that it's not the time to sit back and wring your hands and worry. I think you have to plan. We all have to plan. What's the worst case scenario and how do I deal with that? But absent a worst case scenario is what else can I do to establish myself in my business and what I can do. So more I'm going to talk about there, but Robbie, there's some questions that I can answer to make sure we're addressing those too.
Absolutely. So the first one's coming in from Chef Laura Taylor. And she says, "Hi Larry, thanks for doing this. My main question is, are in-home chef services considered an essential food-related business to continue operations as per usual?"
Well, Laura, I hope things are going well for you in Washington State, because I know it's a little bit crazy out on the West Coast right now. So our thoughts are with you. It's busy. We would make the argument that it is, that food and dining is essential. And I think you just have to make sure that any officials question what you're doing. You make sure that they know that absent you, that the homeowner has no solution in terms of being able to dine. This is not an extraordinary event. It's not a party. This is being able to come in and cook for people who don't have the ability to do it otherwise. Keep in mind some of the ways that we can talk about avoiding COVID-19, aside from avoiding people, getting a good night's sleep, reducing your stress levels, and healthy eating. And there's nobody better than a personal chef at driving the healthy eating. I was on the phone the other night with someone who was questioning whether or not our certification business was essential. And I said, well, we make sure that people don't get sick when they eat in a restaurant. And they said, okay. So I think it's how you make that argument in terms of what you do. I think if it was to come across to an official as, oh, I'm just doing this because the people want something unique at home, you're going to be challenged. But I think if you show the essential component of health and safety and the fact that the people need you to do that in order to maintain their health, not their lifestyle, but their health, I think you make a good argument for why it is a personal chef can be in that category and be able to go in and cook. I hope that helps. Rob?
All right, and then Chef Anisha Anand, she says, so same question as Laura, so you just answered that.
Okay.
And if essential, does our liability coverage stay in place when we cook and shop for clients in their homes under the stay home safe business announcement?
Yeah, that's a great question. And COVID-19 has absolutely no implication on that. This is all about your work in their homes. And so our insurance covers your activities while you're shopping and covers your activities when you're in the home. It's probably a good question. If the question is, if I get COVID-19, does the insurance cover me? I don't know, but that's a question that I will ask our insurer and if there's any impact there. But there's nothing about the disease itself that would inhibit you from doing your business and having coverage. So if you're in the home cooking, put COVID-19 aside, you're following our guidelines and you're insured.
So we'll keep on going down the list as they keep popping up.
Okay.
Chef Deb Cantrell is coming on here, positive as always, so this is just a comment, but I'll throw it in there.
Okay.
Everybody should be reminded, too, that now is the time to build the exact business you always wanted, right? So there's opportunity that lies
So let me
there.
repeat that because I'm going to talk about that in a moment. Thanks, Deb. Deb's saying, now is the time to build the business that you always wanted. And I'm going to talk about that. And actually, we're going to start building up a webinar series here soon. And thank you, Deb. She agreed tonight to be with us on it and on an upcoming episode. So watch for Deb. And I'll remind you, too, about being part of the association. We have resources like Deb available to you to help you grow the business. And again, I'm going to talk about kind of changing mindset and changing direction and maybe shifting a little bit of your thinking going forward. And we'll talk about that in just a moment. But Deb, thanks for that comment because you're 100% right. Right?
And Chef Stephanie Hopkins, she says, what is the association's thoughts on chefs who are now feeling it is okay to cook in their homes? Aren't they jeopardizing our industry long term?
Yes. And Stephanie, I'll give you a little bit longer answer than that. It still comes down to recognizing that the virus is about getting sick because it's transmitted to the lungs, all right, and it makes its way there. We're talking about the basics of food safety here and not cooking in your own home. There's a host of studies and understanding that moving from your home, it's time, it's temperature, it's control, it's cooling, it's the host of things. It's the potential risk of allergens that you're not aware of in your home that get transmitted to somebody else's home. So recognize as we're talking about what we're doing here, that there's a whole host of food safety related issues and why we say you shouldn't cook from your home and deliver to somebody's house. I recognize that maybe somebody's doing it for an elderly parent or a friend as a favor. I think that's looking the other way. But if it changes to a business model, I think it's problematic. And I think the other side of this, and I was having long discussions with people about this today, not this specific but related issues, is that if we start doing this, we open the door to become a target when this is passed. Again, the NPR reporter earlier today was asking me a question about how often are people inspecting restaurants these days. And we know there's a few states and a few locations where the spread of the COVID-19 virus isn't as big as it has been in others, and we do understand from the Association of Food and Drug Officials that they are still out inspecting. But I think our general belief is it's not as frequent. But I do think if it hits the radar screen that personal chefs are delivering cooked food from their houses in a commercial endeavor, that it's going to come back to bite us. But I think the most important piece is the fact that you should be focused on the health and safety of your customers. And health and safety of those customers, if you're not cooking in a commercial kitchen, means you're cooking theirs.
All right.
We're good?
So next we have Kirsten Johnson.
Okay.
And Chef Kirsten says, half of my clients are hospital doctors. The other clients, multiple days a week, are immunocompromised. And then she says, as am I. So I made the tough decision to stop service. Financially, it may break me to not work, but I feel this is the most responsible thing to do. So
Kristen, I agree, and it kind of ties back to what Deb talked about a moment ago, because I think to your point, if you've got an immune compromise, you have to be extraordinarily careful with this. And so I think it's a risk you don't want to take, because that risk could be greater than changing your business. I would say this is a chance to step back and look at, can you do your business differently? Are there things you can do via video that you can use as YouTube and be able to make money? Is it cooking lessons? If you had, it sounds like you've got a very specific client base. Is there an opportunity to teach them? Are there things you can do for your doctors to make sure that they can do more for themselves? Can you arrange for delivery of groceries so you're not risking your immunity but can get them to the door, so that you're still being able to buy for them and healthy, and then can you charge them for menu and recipe services? So I would challenge you, and this is one of the things I want Deb to help me with when we get together. Can I challenge you to really start rethinking how and what you do with your business for the time being? I think when this passes, then I think that you can change back to what you've been doing. But I think in the short term, take a look at those skills that you have and think how you can translate them to a different way of delivering the business rather than just the food. And I think you're going to find your way there. You did also mention that you had a number of doctors who were clients. Talk to them about it. Earlier today, I was looking at flu statistics, and the flu numbers in the United States between October and March 14th are in the millions compared to what we're seeing. And I don't want to diminish the value of the COVID-19 risk, but the flu virus is in the millions. And we've all been working around the flu for years. So listen, I would suggest that if you have doctors that clients, you're probably luckier than most of us. I would ask them, here's my situation where I have immune issues. I have these clients over here, but doc, if you were in my shoes, what would you do? It's a great question to ask. And then again, go back and think about the other things you could do with your business and see what you can turn that into. I hope that helps. We're going to think about that one some more. Rob?
Well, she just came back on and says, definitely doing that. And I've offered to all my clients, I will check in with them when I go grocery shopping for my own family. And that she's willing to do shopping for them as well.
Great. And one more thing, Kristen, to make sure, and I tell this to a lot of our new members, make sure people understand your story. This is a great chance to get out there and be better known in your community. You can't go out there doing speaking engagements now. It really is probably more a technology-driven response to what you're doing, because we're all kind of at home. But I think the more they get to know you as the person, because Personal Chef is all about that, it's personal, I think you have tremendous opportunity there. So build your story, make sure you're sharing that story with people, make sure it's up on your website, get your blog posts out there, use all the social media like we're doing tonight. I know we're on Facebook and Instagram, Rob. Are we anyplace else?
So Facebook now, Instagram at 7:30.
Okay, perfect. And then make sure that you're getting a lot of expertise that other people have. That's one of the reasons we're sharing all that we have with you. Make sure that your local media knows that as well, that they can reach out to you. I will tell you, I'm exhausted because we're getting lots of requests for information at the national level, but I know there are local media that are hungry as well. I kind of chuckle when I'm watching the local news here in Orlando, and I'm actually chuckling out of gratitude because I see other people being asked the very questions I'm being asked by major networks about the restaurant world's approach to COVID-19, and I get to watch on a local level, and I thank goodness every day that I'm not the one they're calling. But you know what? You could be the one they're calling, and you should be, because we're going to continue to share the information with you so you can show your expertise, and you can drive it home from an at-home perspective, and think about what you can learn in terms of advice from your doctors that you can share as well. So build on that knowledge, build on that network that you have, reshape your business, and I think the good news is when you can go back to whatever normal is when the time comes, you're going to have this whole platform that you built back here that's ready to support you as well, and your business is going to look very different. Rob?
Okay. So Anisha came back with a couple of different things. If
Okay.
you could clarify, she asked, so we must continue to cook in their kitchen as per usual or in a commercial kitchen separately. So I think that was the meal prep.
Yeah. I mean, I think hopefully I clarified that on meal prep. So, take a look at a commercial kitchen. In fact, Jesse Libro here in Orlando, I still owe him a phone call. I haven't forgotten. So he's working on a commercial kitchen here. But if you have an opportunity there, take a look at commercial kitchen, or the option obviously is to cook in the kitchen and just use every safety precaution that you can. Rob?
All right. We have Chef Michelle Southwell. She says, is it okay to pre-cut, season, and half prepare food in advance prior to arriving to the client's house to cut down on the amount of time you're at their house cooking? This may reduce the need for chefs to cook at home and deliver.
Always think of the food safety components of that, Chef. When you realize you're going to be transporting something from point A to point B, that if it's cooked and it's too warm and you're moving it from one place to another, that there is a chance for bacterial growth on the food. So just pay attention to all the food safety elements of shifting. If you have a way to keep it hot enough as you move it from your home to the client's home, I think you're safe. But I think this is a case where it's less viral, it's less about COVID-19, and much more about making sure it's really good, solid food safety practices to get you where you need to go.
Awesome. So Chef Anisha has another question here.
Keep them coming. That's great.
Any ideas on how to teach local media and guidelines on what is good to communicate to show that personal chefs can be essential community members during such events as these? So
tell your story. I think the best thing to do is make a connection with producers. I would call and really just start calling the local networks. Have a pitch ready and recognize that there are lots of people that are out there trying to get in front of the media for media purposes. So the key here is not about, and you say hi to Willow, the key here is not always about making the pitch as much as it is building your credibility. What I've done in the past and what our organization does is we let people know that, hey, here's the areas of expertise I have, here's what I know about. You give away just enough to make it interesting and say, I know you're periodically looking for people to respond to. Personal chefs play a big role in our community. I am one. And here's all the things that I can share with you. Feel free to call me. Here's my contact information. And then follow up with that. I know in the past what people would do was send endless press releases. I will tell you that editors and producers get press releases out the wazoo and typically toss them away. And so it's the personal touch. But recognize, just as you're sending in this pitch, other people doing it as well. So once you send it in, follow up with a phone call. If you can find connections in your community who know someone in the media, contact them. I will tell you, once you make that one-on-one connection and they realize that you're someone they can call on, you'll get the phone call. But again, come at it from the fact that this is my expertise, this is what I know better than anybody else, this is where I am in this community, this is how I support this community, and I can help share this story with others, and here's where it's valuable to your watchers, to your viewers, to your listeners, to your readers. Rob?
Awesome. Chef Jesse came on and said, "No, Will, you're hilarious. I'm working on it too." Yeah.
Jesse, I'm glad you're on there. I have not forgotten you. I literally got on the phone at 8 o'clock this morning. I wrapped up about 15 minutes ago, changed my shirt, and Rob was set up and ready for me to go. So I've blocked out time tomorrow morning, so we will connect. And that's what I love about our members, so I appreciate your patience. Thank you.
And then Chef Deb added some really good points on here. It says, now is the time to market more than ever.
I'm going to repeat this, you Sam. So
Yeah.
this came from Deb Cantrell. Number one, now is the time to market more than ever.
Yeah, be the go-to trusted source and the first person they think of hiring back because you stayed in front of them where most have not.
Great point. As Deb's saying, you're going to be trusted because you're the one who was out there. You were the one that was with them in the worst of times. They're going to call on you in the best of times. That's why it's so important now to not just hunker down, but be out there in front of your clients in every way that you can.
Awesome. Yeah, so I guess any final.
No, I've got more to talk about.
Okay. Nothing. Yeah.
You know, part of it too, and we talk about these stories to the media. You know, you've got some skill sets, and there's a chance to get your story out there. You know, if you have elderly in your community, you know, there's a lot of fear. I will tell you kind of a funny story for those who know exactly how old I am. I had a call from 2 Saturdays ago from our head of marketing, and she was in a panic because Dr. Tony Fauci had just made an announcement that anybody over 60 should shelter away. And I had just finished a probably 60-minute workout on my bike and did some other work, and then was doing some other exercising. And I said, well, wait a minute. I tend to be a little older than that, and I tend to do all this exercise, and I tend to maintain a healthy lifestyle and watch what I'm eating. I take umbrage at that. And so I decided Monday morning I really wanted to hear from myself because I figured he'd be on more of the talk shows because it was really at the early stages of this. And sure enough, Dr. Fauci was on the talk shows, and ultimately the host asked him, so how old is elderly? And he started laughing. He said, anybody older than me. And Dr. Fauci, who I'm sure you've seen on the news constantly, is 79 years old. So if he says everybody older than him is elderly, that's fine. But recognize that there are a lot of quote-unquote elderly in the marketplace. Can you do shopping for them? You know, can you get the word out? And again, not in a self-serving way, but rather in a way that the community can appreciate the kinds of things that a personal chef, because it's not just a matter of doing the shopping for them, but you can do the kind of shopping that they need, focused on their health needs, focused on their dietary restrictions. You know, it's nice to be able to say, hey, I'm going to go shop for you and go buy crap for somebody. It's another thing altogether to have the profession and the knowledge that you have, that you can go out there to the community and help the elderly. And again, if it's spare time, you know, they're still going to pay you for the food, but it's a chance for you to do something special and be known for what you do and bring the world of personal chef to the broader community. There are news stories that people like to pick up, but more importantly, even if they don't pick it up, people talk, and it's positive talk. Anything else?
I think that's it.
Okay. Well, again, I'm going to just a couple more minutes because I know we said, 6:30 to 7:30, so we got a little bit of time here, so we'll wait for some more questions to come in. Make sure that one of the things to remember is, again, continue to watch the news. We're going to push some things out there that we know would be helpful. I think one of the good news things, no one has to rush to do their taxes. The taxes have been pushed off till this summer. So if you think you were getting money back, maybe go ahead and file a return now. If you think you owe taxes, you have breathing room. And that includes no penalties, no issues. So don't rush to do your taxes by April 15th because you don't have to. I think the other big thing that's out there is the stimulus bill. And I think what we see going through Congress and happening is probably the first of a few. We sent in a blast out earlier in the week, late last week. I've sent so many I've lost time. Somewhere between Friday and Sunday, we sent a blast out that included a grassroots campaign to make sure Congress hears and understands what the chef world can do. If you hadn't had a chance to share that with your local member of Congress, please do. And here's the difference. When an organization like ours reaches out to a congressperson who may be a sponsor of a bill, they read the note and they say thank you, but they pretty much ignore it because I can't vote for someone outside of my area in Florida. So they like hearing from me, but it doesn't mean anything. But when they hear from me as a voter, it makes a big difference in how they respond. So that's when we talk about grassroots campaigns. And we don't do a lot of lobbying as an organization because we don't have a lot of these issues that we worry about. There's a lot of things we do quietly behind the scenes, particularly when it comes to regulatory issues for our organization and our industry. But these big deals now are hitting us. And so I would encourage everybody, if you haven't seen that from Saturday, let us know, or Friday, whenever I send it. We'll get ahead and get another copy of it out to you with the links. I know a couple of members did because they sent me notes on it. But please, we ask you to try and reach out to members of Congress and emphasize this. What we're going to continue to do is try and flush out everything we can. So if someone does need, a short-term loan to get them through a period of time from a cash flow perspective, to get them the kinds of information they need so they can apply for them. We're hearing that, no doc, no interest. We're hearing all kinds of things about loan availability. We don't know all the qualifying factors, but typically for loans, if you can show income, if you can show a staying business, most of these will go ahead and help. And so we want to make sure that we identify and flush them out. And as we're producing more and more of this media for you on a regular basis, we'll make sure we identify those opportunities for you. What I don't want to do is flood you with useless information that you can't use, but rather pick out those that are most salient and those that have the most value for you so you can get those done. I think about the only other thing I can think of. We don't get any more questions. And by the way, I've got 2 more questions. Keep them coming. All right.
So apparently I missed one from Chef Anisha, so I apologize about that.
That's Rob's fault.
Yeah. If as far in regards to the liability insurance coverage, if the client were to get COVID-19 while the chef is cooking for them, how does that liability coverage work?
I will ask the question. That probably is out of the scope of the insurance. But you know what? I think there's a lot more to it than that, Nish, when you ask that question, because the timeline of the transmission, you would have to go in and be a carrier. And keep in mind, I pushed out the FDA studies from the other day, and fortunately, the deputy director that oversees food safety for the FDA is a good friend of mine for many years. So I have a good link to make sure I'm getting all the current information. In fact, I was on the phone with someone earlier today about some of the things that Frank had produced and making sure that we were communicating it properly. That aside, the thing that FDA continues to push out there is that the virus isn't transmittable from food to another human. So unless you come in and sneeze on somebody, or unless you cough, or if you do sneeze on the food, which God help you, I hope that never happens, the chance of them having COVID-19 from you is risk. What I'm more concerned about, and I'll get the insurance question, is if that person has COVID-19 and they're diagnosed with it and you've been there to cook, please go get tested. Make sure that you're going to be healthy. And again, the data I keep seeing, and one of the things that drives me crazy when I watch what's happening with the reporting, is that when you hear percentages, this sounds disastrous. And let's face it, I think anytime someone dies from a virus, it's disastrous. But when you take the percentages, then you compare the raw numbers with them, and then you kind of cross-set that with the flu, the staggering difference from the numbers is amazing. So recognize that what I'm hearing is that, somewhere in the 90%, and this is coming from medical professionals, so I'm not getting it from CDC, but somewhere in that 90% range, most people fully recover with very mild symptoms. So in many cases, what I'm seeing is it's not even as serious as the flu. I say this because you still want to make sure you're taking care of yourself, and recognizing that even if you get flu-like symptoms from COVID-19, or if it's something as simple as the sniffles, either way, it could take you out of commission for a while. And more importantly, you want to make sure that you can tell your customers, I'm healthy. So if you get word that someone has had COVID-19, you've been in their house, please take the time to get yourselves checked. And I'll do a follow-up with the answer with our insurance company, get back to everybody on it.
So Chef Stephanie Hopkins came back and said, these are all really great suggestions, but in New Jersey, at least, we are being told to only go out for emergencies for ourselves. In-person services have been listed as non-essential.
So Steph, I'll do some research on that. When they say in-person services, I think that's a pretty broad definition. I did see the governor on TV the other night. I know he's taking pretty stringent concerns. We just had it here in Orlando just about an hour ago, where Orange County, where we live, is supposedly being shut down effective 11 o'clock tomorrow night. So admittedly, we still are in an unknown. I would suggest this, if you're right, they're good suggestions. If you can't get out, that's when I go back to that opportunity, if you can, to at least begin to find new ways of reaching your clients, teaching them something you can do remotely, at least for a short period of time. I'm hopeful that we're not going to be stretching this into months, that we may be just a few more weeks and we're done. In that period of time, reach out, connect with your clients, ask what else you can do remotely. Can you develop menus, and maybe it reduces that income stream for a short period of time. But you can look at creative ways to make sure you're driving that. So yeah, I get the pain, and I have no doubt in New Jersey, New York, California, I'm sure Laura's seen it in Washington. We're not going to see it here in Central Florida. That it's a whole new world for us. So it really means it's that time to be as positive as you possibly can, which is why I was suggesting, do something for yourself every day. Give yourself that element of positivity. I will tell you, I have binge watched more non-news shows, in the last couple of weeks just to get away from the news for a while because I have to study this every day. But then that gives yourself that lift, that individual lift you need to start to look at your business differently. I would also go back and make sure we're paying attention on the Facebook group. If you have a little more time in your hands, now's the best time to connect with each other. Know that we're going to be pushing everything I can find. Believe me, we're going to push out there. I'm working on a new webinar system now. I was sharing with Chef Deb a little while ago when I was asking her if she'll jump on with us. Last night I was on the phone with a friend of mine from Booz Allen Hamilton, the big consulting firm, who is an expert in working on small businesses. She has agreed to appear with me and do a little piece. So the association is going to be out there coming up with everything we possibly can to help. And every piece of information we can get to you, every suggestion we're going to share because we're in this crisis with you. And we want to make sure that we all come out on the other side in the right way. So I hear you. I wish I had a better answer for you than that, than step back and be creative. But we're going to try and find every creative means we can find and reach out to your fellow members and make sure you understand what they're doing and see what creative ideas they have. So, and we'll keep working for you.
And we will be back on Friday as well for a live video. So if anything changes between now and then, have questions.
And I'm hoping we get to the point by Friday that it won't just be what we're doing now with, although Rob's got a great cramming, he got it as a Christmas present. Not only what are we doing with this, but be able to even do something in a webinar fashion because I want more interaction. And I think if we get Deb on and I get my friend from Booz Allen and some of these others, that we'll have that chance for an interactive piece and the live questions. So we're going to continue to push that out. But as Rob said, 6:30 Friday night, we're going to do the same thing. And trust me, every day is new information. Every day is new ideas. And so by Friday, I have absolutely no doubt that I'll have more to share with you. But I think we'll be ready by then.
Cool.
Anything else?
I think that is it.
Okay, well, let me thank everybody for sitting in tonight. I always appreciate almost 45 minutes of your time, and I know it's very valuable, but all of you are so important to us, and your businesses are important to you, and we want to make sure that you succeed. So we're going to keep sharing. We're going to keep looking for everything we can. I will tell you this, and I'm going to be able to push this out to you probably some point in time tomorrow. The National Restaurant Association has just developed new programs for takeout and delivery. So for those who are working in commercial kitchens and are doing delivery, I've already gotten the okay to be able to share those for free with our members. So we'll be getting that link out as soon as I get access to it, and they'll be available tomorrow. We're also working on some things with complimentary food handler training. So if you have employees who need their food handler certificate, that'll be available here very shortly as well. And as soon as I get those details, I'll share them with you. So taking full advantage of my role at the National Restaurant Association to make sure I can share it with our USPCA members as well. So we'll keep it coming. We're in this together, and until we get ourselves to the other side and beyond, we'll do that. And just a reminder too, one last time, it was a very tough decision for me to put a hold on the convention this year, but I'm convinced it was the right thing to do. We all have way too much to worry about right now. I want to be focused right now on your businesses today and now, not what we need to do in July. And then we get on the other side. We've already confirmed it for the same weekend time frame in July of 2021. Dawn Sweeney, my former boss at the Restaurant Association, who is a phenomenal leader, was there for 12 years, has agreed to be our closing keynote. I'm working on getting Chef Guy Mitchell, who's one of the White House chefs, to be our opening keynote again, and then plugging in everything else in between. I won't put Deb on the spot now to see if she's going to do the Thursday again, but I guess I just did. But I appreciate your patience with that, and as we move forward, all of it's designed to be there for you. So again, my thanks to all of you for sharing your time with us tonight. We're here for you. We will be back Friday night at 6:30. As always, if you have questions, shoot them to me. I know our members are great about doing that. I make sure they're actually in a separate email box so I can find them, and shoot them to me. We'll get them. And Jesse, you're on for tomorrow morning. I haven't forgotten you. Rob?
All right. I think that's it. We'll be on Instagram if anyone has any further questions at 7:30.
So Rob said this will be posted by 7:30 on Instagram. So if you have members who haven't seen it, want some more, plug in there, and Rob will get the questions to me. All right. Cool. Thanks, everybody.